Welcome to the Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by legendary boxing trainer, the great Teddy Atlas, and today's special guest, all the way from the presidential palace in Cameroon, the great Francis Ngannou. Welcome to the show, champ.
Okay, how are you doing, Ken?
Good, very nice to have you.
Thank you. Nice to be here too.
Hi, Francis. How are you?
Hey, Teddy, how are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to see you.
Nice to hear from you, sir. It's an honor.
How is everything in your home there in Cameroon? How's everything going there?
Everything is good. You know, it's peaceful. I'm here, like, enjoying my family. We've been doing the family reunion for the past 2 weeks, each weekend, and it has been awesome because it's a opportunity to meet different family, different member of the family, and to see those one that you know them already, and to have to talk, to greet, enjoy, take news, and follow up with what's going on in their life.
I know that you've used your success to help the people of Cameroon in the village where you were born and raised. You started a foundation that has built a gym there, that is equipping a gym, that is basically giving children of that small village in Cameroon an opportunity to dream a dream like you, and to be like you, and to have an opportunity to reach things that they might not have had an opportunity to reach before, or to believe that they could reach, because all reach starts with belief. Can you talk about that? I think it's great work. I think it makes you special.
First of all, I'm very flattered that you said such a great thing about it. But it's just I grew up here, and I always loved combat sport. And I was, since I was kid, I was expecting somebody to maybe come here and build a gym, or so I can train, since I knew that was my dream, and that's what I wanted to do. But I never had that opportunity. And then as soon as I get the chance, when I was in France, I started to think about it, and I started to put a piece of things together to build a gym. Then after that, I realized that there's a lot of needy out here. So it's not just about like one gym and that's it. That's why we build it under the foundation, and because we are expected to build many gyms under the foundation, so we can allow those kids not not just to like maybe become an athlete or martial art artist, but uh, it's just like a personal development. Like growing up in a small place like this, a small village, many people lose hope, and they don't believe about anything, because it seems to be too far, and very quick they just drop their hands and give up their dream, and give up their dream. So I think that building the foundation, like the facility as we build, and keep running it, will give more hope to other kids. Maybe not just to be an athlete, but just to to teach them about life, to make them know that even when you take a punch and you went down the floor, when you take a knockdown, it's not game over. You can come back from the knockdown and win the fight. And even though you don't win the fight after the knockdown, uh, when you get up after a knockdown, and at the end, even when your opponent wins the fight, you have this personal satisfaction inside you. Like, it's something that you cannot explain. You're so happy, you cannot explain, because you're just so happy, even if you lost, but you're just so happy to not give up, because it took you a lot of courage to get up when you was down and your opponent was there ready to knock you down again, and you was down feeling really bad. The best, I mean, the most comfort situation would have been to stay down, but you keep standing up. So at that point, you're happy about yourself. And the same thing goes with the life, I think in the life, just the succeed is like a matter of hope. As somebody who has hope will never be poor. Somebody who believes in himself will never be poor, even if he doesn't have money in the bank or in the pocket. Even if he has a debt, but this guy will never be poor with this, because self-believing and hope, I think for me, is the fundamental of wealthy.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so that's why we are working on this project, and as much as it goes, he get me excited and more committed. So, like for now, we have like a charity. I have a charity event that I'm organizing with some comedian out here. We're gonna fight, like but we're gonna take the opportunity. We're gonna take the light to to promote the foundation and trying to raise money to build another gym in the southwest region, which is like the English zone in Cameroon. So it's going to be our second gym. So we are trying to raise funds to build that. So the kid from that side will also have something as kid for a year, and we are expecting to extend it all around the country.
Well, before we finish this interview, why don't Ken will make sure that he mentions the foundation and how people can donate to it, and I'll get people started on the right track, thinking the right way, by donating $3,000 right now to your foundation.
That would be awesome. I think the foundation would be grateful for that. Like, in the US, we might just say number like $3,000 and something. But it's just impressive how it could be helpful here. Like sometimes you said some used shoes or some used clothes that you don't even think about it, how it could be useful. Like when you have a chance to bring it here, it's just so helpful for those kids who doesn't have like shoes or clothes. So that's why for the foundation, we collect everything that we can. The donation, you can give the money from the Francis Foundation, Francis Ngannou Foundation.com. We have the donate the link, but also we collect any kind of materials that you can give, which is needed. Notebook, backpack, shoes, clothes, everything that can be donated, we collect it from for the kids, and we ship it out here for the kids.
Well, I have a foundation that helps people in need. We've been running it for 23 years. It's called the Dr. Atlas Foundation. We help impoverished families that they might have a sick child and their insurance does not pay for the treatment that they need. We step in and we pay for the treatment. They may need surgery. They might have to fly out of town for the surgery. We fly them out of town for the surgery and take care of it. So this donation will come from my foundation to yours. You can buy whatever you need to help these kids. And I just want to say thank you for being that person, for being so strong in more ways than just physical ways. Anybody could be strong physically, but to be strong in the way that you are spiritually, caring about other people, that's a true strength. And I believe that's your greatest strength. I believe that to win the world title, that the next time you fight for it, that will be the strength that you will pull from. Yes, you'll pull from your size. Yes, you'll pull from your drone with bad intentions like Mike Tyson. I know you're a Tyson fan. I know that he inspired you at the beginning. And I know you have I know they call you the Tyson of the UFC, and I know you have power like him, and I know you were born with power because punches are born, they're not made. But to me, your greatest strength is what we're talking about. Your strength inside of you to be able to care about more than yourself. That's what makes you strong enough to be a champion. That's what made Muhammad Ali strong enough. Yeah, he was fast. Yeah, he was strong when he had to be. He had great physical attributes. But his greatest strength was his belief that he had to help others, that he was doing something in the name of something bigger than him. That was his greatest strength. And I believe that's all of our greatest strengths if we allow it to be. And I believe it's your greatest strength. So best of luck with that. And now I'll talk about a little bit of boxing. How did you...
Thank you, Teddy.
You're welcome, Francis. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm very honored and flattered. I'm very happy of what you're saying. And yes, we will keep going. But yes, but first of all, we are like, thank you also for you guys to be our inspiration by being the one that start to make like foundation to help people. So technically, you guys are leading the way. So thank you all too.
Thank you, Francis. How did you become a Mike Tyson fan? Where did that start? Where did that begin?
I remember I was like kids by the early 90s, and then I was hearing they were talking about Mike Tyson, but I didn't know Mike Tyson. I was a kid, and we didn't have a TV, as we were very poor, and I could a year can go by without us watching TV. So I couldn't follow that up, but I heard about him a lot because I was very interested about everything, which is like movie and fighting. But I didn't have the opportunity, and I keep dreaming, believing until I was like 22 years old, and I went to the gym. I stopped everything that I was doing, and then I found a gym I moved to another city to start a boxing, and that's when I start to like really understand the process of Mike Tyson, even though I didn't watch him. And like 2 years after that, 4 years after that, so basically like 8 years ago, I started to go on YouTube and started to watch like Mike Tyson fights, like his videos. That's when I really like enjoy it because he was like heavyweight, strong, but the way he moves, the way he boxed, he was like the academic boxing. You can put the Mike Tyson video and teach a 5 years old kid how to box with a Mike Tyson video because he wasn't like hands up, hand down and this. He was like a perfect stand as they teach you in the first boxing class, how to raise your hand, put your guard, how to move, how to dodge everything. And this guy was doing it in a professional fight, and he was still doing it as he was he was still using the fundamental boxing and doing perfectly. So I get so excited about that, And yes, he has power, and people, I think that power side blind people to see that technical side of Mike Tyson, because the way he moves, that allowed him to be on his balance and execute his combination and everything and get it stronger. People didn't see that; they just see, oh, he's knocking people down. But what I'm more fascinating about it is just the way that he moves and everything seems perfect. He was on the balance, and when he threw the uppercut, you see, it's like a body, his body weight. His body weight was on any punches. The way moving, the block, the footwork, everything was so great. Yes, he has power. He has power, but I'll I always be impressed of his technical side than his power.
Francis, you probably know this, but you're talking to the early architect of all that movement and all that technique, obviously with Customato, but Teddy was the one in the ring with him from day one, every day for years and years to develop that technique. And like I said, I'm sure you probably know this, and I know Teddy's not going to tell you this, but I want to tell you that I've seen him work this technique and give instructions on different videos that we've done. And yeah, it's nice to hear you say that, because I think that that's lost on a lot of people, is that what made him great was his technique. And that technique came from years of training and discipline that Teddy instilled in him.
Yes, and the perfection. And yes, I want to take also the opportunity, because yes, what you're saying, I have heard about it already. Because as I said, I never like watched a Mike Tyson fight on live, and I heard about Teddy. And yes, by the way, I think Eddie can help me too, because I'm a fan of that kind of work, and I'm really open about that. Since I want to cross over and go to the boxing. I want to like take the good habit and go back to like a boxing school. No, like, okay, just go there and fight, but go back to like boxing school, basically from the one who made who I'm inspired by.
Hey guys, just want to take a moment to give a quick shout out to our sponsors today. Today's episode is brought to you by MyBookie. Check them out at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code ATLAS for up to 50% credit on your first deposit. Huge event coming up this weekend in Vegas, UFC. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic. It's going to be a battle. I'm looking forward to this one myself. Stay tuned to the episode here. We're going to ask Francis for his pick. So if you like for what Francis has to say, take his advice. Check him out at mybookie.ag. Again, use the promo code ATLAS, ATLAS, for up to 50% credit on your first play. And good luck. Additionally, we'd like to thank dynamicstriking.com for working with us. Teddy filmed a series of boxing technique videos for these guys. They've worked with all the biggest names in BJJ, some of the legendary coaches, and Teddy's the first boxing coach they've worked with, and a lot of people write in and ask us for his opinion on different training techniques. If you're interested, this is where you can learn everything. Once again, dynamicstriking.com. Use the promo code TEDDY20 for 20% off your purchase. Teddy goes over all kinds of different technique best practices. He talks about proper pad work, shadow boxing, heavy bag exercises, and a lot more. Again, if you're interested in learning about the fundamentals of boxing, this is the best video out there.
You're smart. That's part of being a champion, not just having the physical abilities and, qualities, but the intellect to be smart enough to know what you need to do and how to do it. That becomes very apparent as you speak. And that's another one of your assets. That's probably one of your greatest assets, that you're smart enough to want to learn, to understand that it's about more than just genetics. It's about more than just pure power. It's about, how do I use it? And how do I use it in difficult environments? And you're 100% right about Tyson. If Tyson didn't have the technique to expose guys, to make the miss and put himself in position to score and unload his great power, if he didn't have that technique, well, he would have been just another guy with power, just another strong guy. He wouldn't have been as successful and as, quite frankly, as effective as he was. Ernie Shavers, for example, great power, great right hand, never won a world title. Now, there was some good fighters around then. One of them was named Ali, but there were other opportunities for him too. But he didn't have the delivery system to go with the power. You know, it's one thing to have the power. It's another thing to have the style, the delivery system, the technique that you're talking about, to put yourself in position to make best use of it. So you're 100% right. I got to tell you something, though, Francis. You asked me something a moment ago about help. So I'm gonna give that to you if it's okay. Or at least I'm gonna intend. Okay. I'm gonna intend to give it to you. That's my intention, and I hope it does give you help. First of all, a fighter must have his own identity. He must understand what that identity is. You're remarkable. I'll tell you why you're remarkable. You started very late, and you had a very tough upbringing. And I think that's part of your success, to be quite frank, is the way you dealt with that upbringing and where you allowed it to take you and what you allowed it to teach you. So, and a little later, I wanted you to talk about your upbringing, because it's a heck of a story. It's a great story. But right now, a fighter must have an identity. He must know what he is when he gets in the ring. You, for me, would not be the peekaboo Tyson style. Yes, you have power like Tyson, but you have to use it in a different way, because Tyson was short. He didn't have the physical assets that you have as far as length, as far as height. You're 6'4", 6'5", you got long arms. You have different physical attributes that were given to you by your parents, by God, whatever you believe in, your genetics. You must learn to use those to their best, to their most effective state. And when you're 6'4", I would not recommend the peekaboo style, where you're giving up your height and you're coming in close in that sort of way. You could use it in spots, don't get me wrong. Moving after your punch, making a guy miss, being in position. You could do those things. But for me, your identity should be tall. It should be use that range. Use those long arms. Use that height. Your identity style-wise, if I was to pick a fighter off the top of my head, would be George Foreman. That's your style. To keep the guy at the end of your punches, to make it impossible for them to close distance. What are they going to try to do? That's what you have to understand. A tall guy like you, they're not going to stand up to your power. They're going to try to get in low to your legs, take you on the floor, take you to another place, take you to the grappling, to that place. So you want to be George Foreman. You want to keep them on the outside, where you make it very difficult for them to get in. For them to get in, they have to go to a very difficult neighborhood and maybe get hurt, get mugged going through that neighborhood. You know, sometimes you go through a bad neighborhood and it's dangerous. You could get mugged by somebody. That's your style. It's to keep them on the outside and not allow guys to make real estate. Charge them for real estate. Instead of charging dollars, you charge punches. For every foot that they're trying to make on you, you charge them 4 punches. That's a big price. That's a price that most of them can't afford. They can't afford to get hit with 4 punches by you. And also, develop an uppercut. I know you're working on it, don't get me wrong, but develop an uppercut, because as they try to come close, they're going to make themselves vulnerable to that punch, because they're going to lean to get close. And the uppercut can be very effective, just like it was for George Foreman against Joe Frazier, a shorter, aggressive fighter who never got a chance to get close to do what he wanted to do. So for me, that's your identity. And I would say from watching one of your tapes that when you're aggressive, and you're getting plenty of opportunities now to be aggressive. Why? Because you have power. You have a reputation. Because most of the fighters now, they know that your power, they know what it is. So in a lot of cases, they're going to move away from your power. So you're going to get opportunities to be aggressive. But you have to be aggressive in an efficient way, an effective way, a proper way, a smart way. You let your upper body sometimes get ahead of your legs. I noticed that. Now, don't get me wrong. You still got results. You still knocked the guy out because he went straight back, you followed him, and you caught him. But sometimes when you go after them, you got to be a little more under control. And you got to make sure your legs are there. You got to make sure that the legs are there, that your upper body doesn't get ahead of your legs, that your legs are with you so that you can deliver the package of punches. You don't want to throw you don't want to throw packages from the window of a car while the car's moving, because you're not going to get the packages where you want to get them. Well, it's the same things with punches. As the car's moving, as your body's moving, you don't want to throw the punches ahead of outside the car. You want to make sure that the car is there. You want to make sure, again, that your legs are there. When you're coming forward, your upper body does not get ahead of your legs, where you lose your balance, you lose your position, you lose your accuracy. You want to be balanced. You want to be in position. There was a fighter, Joe Louis. He was a great fighter. He was always balanced. He was a heavyweight champ of the world. He was always in position. He was never out of position because his legs were there before his upper body. For me, Francis, work on when you do come forward, make sure your legs are underneath you. Do not allow the upper body to get ahead of the legs. You need your legs underneath you. Then you can use your power. Then you can throw those punches consistently instead of throwing one or two, and then maybe you're out of position and the guy can take advantage of you then and get to you. You want to be balanced. You want to be efficient, effective. So for me, it would start with when you come forward, make sure your legs are there, not your upper body ahead of your legs. And make sure you tighten the punches up a little bit, that they're straight and just a little bit more shorter. So you have more control over them, more accuracy. And again, if you miss, and we all miss, you're not going to lose your position. You're not going to give the other guy an opportunity to counter you, to take advantage of you, to have you out of position. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. I truly appreciate that. I understand that, and basically on my last fight, as I said, I won the fight, but there were a lot of mistakes on that fight, which is when I watched the tape again, and that wasn't a good fight for me, even though I had a win, but in general, it wasn't a good fight.
It was a very good fight for you. I'll tell you why. Number one, you got a good result. Number two, what you're saying right now, you're smart enough to learn from it. It gave you an opportunity to correct something that's wrong. And that's a great fight. That's a great fight. That means that fight, not only did you win, it gave you an opportunity to learn, to know what you need to do better before it's too late. That's a great fight for you.
Yeah. See it that way. Yes, that's true.
Francis, speaking of the last fight, I've noticed that you've used the uncrowned champ hashtag on your Instagram posts. Have you been promised a shot at the title next? And if not, what is next? And then I want to talk to you about this upcoming fight with Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier.
Yes, so it's not official, but the promise to give me the title fight after Stipe and DC. So I'm gonna wait to see after this weekend. We're gonna see what's going on, you know. So we just have 5 days, and then we will be settled and know what next.
For our friends at MyBookie, who's a big sponsor of the show, everyone will want to know before they make their wagers on mybookie.ag. Use the promo code Atlas for 50% credit on your first deposit. Who do you think's going to win that fight and why?
Honestly, it's a very tough fight because like they won one on one, and then even though Stipe won the second fight, he was getting beat up by Daniel Cormier.
I agree.
And yes, but he found a way to keep a intelligent way to win the fight, and he won the fight. He did it. So, and both of them have the ability to win the fight, to finish the fight at some point. But I will say DC has a little bit more chance over Stipe to win the fight.
I think you're right.
Francis, for the people that are not aware of this, Miocic is the champion, of course, and he's fighting a fight with DC in a rematch, and most likely you're going to get the winner if they continue fighting, because Miocic is 38 years old, and DC has already said that that will be his last fight, that he's going to retire. So it looks like you either get Miocic possibly for the rematch, or they'll figure Dana White will figure out who you're going to fight for the vacant title. But you had won 10 straight fights, and then you lost for the world title to Miocic. You lost a decision.
Yes.
Tell me, that fight affected you a lot, because after that fight, you lost another fight, a fight where there wasn't much action. You weren't yourself. You weren't letting your hands go. You weren't as aggressive. Either one of you in the fight was. And then you got back on a 4-fight win streak, which you're on now. But I know this business, knowing fight business, that fight with Miocic, who was much more experienced than you, it affected you. Tell me about that fight, and tell me what that fight did for you, what you've learned from that fight.
You know, after that fight, the same night at the press conference, I remember I said this, I learned more in one night than I have learned in 4 years practicing this sport. That was my first time ever to go like 3 rounds, not only 3 rounds, but 5 rounds in the fight. After winning 10 fights straight, I don't know. I mean, I think I underestimate Stipe, you know, which is a huge mistake, because I never underestimate my opponent until that fight, but I did it, and the outcome didn't prove me. The outcome proved me wrong to do it. But for the experience, I've learned a lot from that fight, and than any other fight. Then after that fight, I think I was so concerned about some aspect that I didn't know, some mistake that I did on the Stipe fight. So that's what happened in the Lewis fight. I went there and then I was telling myself, stay patient because on the Stipe fight I rushed too much. But I didn't find a balance of patience and rushing, but I went to another extremity, instead of like trying to mix it a little bit aggressivity and patient, I've been too much patient. So I wasn't there for to fight. I wasn't there to fight Lewis. I was still fighting Stipe in my mind. I was still dealing with the Stipe fight because I was telling myself, be patient. You have time. You have time. You're gonna have the opportunity. You're gonna have the opportunity. I was even surprised at the end of the fight. I was like, okay, that's it. Is it over? Because I thought I have time, and I didn't see time fly uh, flies by, and so I understood that I have to mix it from patience and aggressivity, trying to throw something, try to stay busy, uh, not throwing myself, not moving my upper body ahead of my food or something like that. So exactly what you were talking about, but still stay active, still try to throw punches. So that's what happened. And then after the Lewis fight, I understood that. Then for the next fight, I just went there to say, okay, you know what? I have rushed and didn't get a right outcome. I have slow down to be patient and didn't have a right outcome. So why don't I just fight as I used to fight? And I was there like, okay, to accept what happened to happen, because first I was more concerned about me losing a fight than to fight, you know. So for the next fight, I'm like, okay, what happens. I can lose a fight, but I have to fight and fight properly. And that's how I won the next fight and the next fight, and here we are.
Francis, one of the things that Teddy mentioned earlier in the conversation was about your journey from Cameroon to eventually to France and then to the UFC. And I'd like to talk to you about that because I have an adopted daughter who I adopted as a newborn baby from Ethiopia. So I've been to Africa. My wife lived there for 2 months, and I know from firsthand experience how distant that can seem when you're there to versus being in the US. Can you talk about your motivation to come to go to Europe and then eventually to the US, and what that journey was like, and how your experience in Spain and your, I believe, temporary incarceration in Spain for entering illegally, how that affected you, and maybe just talk quickly through the whole journey to get to the point where you're at now, because it's an unbelievable story, especially like I said, when you've seen this little village you're in Cameroon to get to where you're at now, an international superstar.
Yes, I was like 26 years old, like when I understood that there is no chance for me out here in Cameroon. Then I decided to find my opportunity somewhere. Um, so I left, and I went country after country, from Morocco, from Cameroon to Nigeria, Nigeria to Morocco, to Niger, from Niger to Algeria, uh, by through the Sahara desert. So then from Algeria now to Morocco, that I spent 1 year in Morocco trying to cross the trying to cross the continent to go to Europe, and that was a hell of 1 year because I made a lot of attempts who didn't work, and you know, it was just like being in hell. We've been in some situation that at some point you didn't care as much even about your life. Even today, I think about something that we did out there, some how we expose ourselves, our lives, and I still don't believe it. because even though I was the one doing it, it was just so difficult as a moment, to live in the forest, been tracking and chasing as a rat, as the animal. We have to go eat in the trash, rotten food. We eat those, like, man. And I was even surprised that we get out there healthy, because it was just an abomination. And then after that, luckily, after 1 year, I made it in Europe, but we get castrated by the friend by the Spain Homeland Security for about 2 months. Then after, when they free us, because they didn't know where we came from, we didn't have no ID. We make it purposely not to have a something on you who can identify you, because if they identify you where you came from truly, you will get deported. So we make sure not to get anything on us, and that's how we finally make it in Spain. And after 2 months they free us, and I went in Paris, which I didn't know nobody there, and didn't have no money. But by the time, I was just so excited and happy, because I was just free. I just get free in Europe, to be like in Europe, that I wanted for so long, and that I can have the opportunity that I always needed. So yes, in Paris, I found a parking lot, who was my new home, my first home in Europe, for a few months before having friends who helped me. But the controversial thing is, like, when I was sleeping in the parking lot, sometimes thinking about it, it seems like very tough, very difficult as a situation. But at that moment, I didn't feel it as a tough situation, because I was so happy. I was so excited for the new opportunity that I had. I was like, okay, here we are. This is the land of opportunity. This is what I always wanted, just an opportunity. I was so excited and happy the way that people that I met would tell me that, hey man, calm down, don't over expect, because you might get disappointed. You know, uh, Paris is not, I mean, Europe in general is not just like a paradise that everything, you just get everything for free. And that's, I always tell them, I never expect that I will find somewhere and on earth, and it will just be like a heaven on earth. I mean, but I believe that with opportunity, I can create my own little paradise. And and there was always like, well, whatever, we just warn you, so just be aware. But I was just so excited from that moment. And the next day, I found a gym, and I went straight up. I told them the truth. I said, listen, I just came here. I don't have no money. I can't afford the membership. I can't pay for nothing. I don't have no money, not even a place to sleep. But I'm not asking for that. I just want a place that I can keep training, because I want to be a world champion. And it was kind of like, for some people, it seems like that was kind of like cocky. They have been there for 10 years trying to be a world champion, and never made it, and you just came from nowhere and you want to be a world champion. They are not worth it, like they are not working enough to become a world champion. But I was just explaining my excitement, my yes, my excitement. But however, I still go. they still gave me credit because, okay, they say, yes, 6 foot guy, about 250 or 60 pounds by then, 250 pounds. I mean, let's see what he gets. And that's how they allowed me to train there for free and things. I didn't know MMA by the time, and yes, after 2 weeks, they started talking to me about MMA, and I wasn't even interested about MMA. But somehow things keep going on, and I even changed the gym, and I went to some gym who was like specialized in MMA. And 2 years after, after that, I found myself with the UFC contract, and that was the beginning of everything.
Hey, Francis,
Yes, Teddy.
can can we clone you and make about 1 million of you and bring you over to this country? Because what you just said, and I'm being so sincere about this, what you just said, so many people should hear that. So many people that complain about what they don't have instead of seeing what they do have could learn and be helped and prosper from you. I would like to clone you, make 1 million of you, and bring you over here. The world would become better in one day. In one day. And I just had to say that because there's too many people that make excuses for what they can't do instead of reasons for what they can do. And you found reasons for what you could do and can do and wanted to do. I just want to tell you that I'm proud to be able to talk to you. And I wish you nothing but luck. And I have no doubt, just like I know that I'm going to get up, at least I think I am. I'm going to get up and walk out of here when the interview's over with. I have no doubt that you will be a champion because you're already a champion as a human being. Now all you have to do is the rest of the journey, which is to become a world champion as an athlete, as an MMA, UFC fighter. And I have no doubt the first part comes first. That has to be there first. It's kind of like there has to be an engine in a car before the car can go anywhere. You have the engine. You have the engine. The engine's there. All you have to do now is drive the car. You're going to be a world champion.
Thank you, Teddy. I will do whatever you want, the interview and everything. But yes, that's also the philosophy that I have adopted. I mean, like when you get from some point to some point, uh, on the way, you understand many things, which is one of the things that I have to understand in life. In my journey, is that you know the richest person is not the person who have a lot of money, a lot of belonging, a lot of staff, houses, real estate, or investment. But because you can see some people who has like million or billion, but they are still poor in their mind. As long as they don't realize, as long as they don't have a wisdom to appreciate what they have, they will keep tracking, following what they don't have, and they don't give time to what they have, and they don't even enjoy it and appreciate it. And that's how even the poor person, which is what I used to be, like I always like to make it not too difficult for me. I always find a way to like appreciate, to find something that I have, to appreciate it. And that always helped me to feel like I'm not poor. So, I mean, I always keep my heads up, my shins up, face up, and like move my chest. Like, okay, we're gonna make it. Even sometimes I didn't have money, but I never bend my chin down, because I always find something that I have, um, instead of count something that I don't have, because whatever you have, there's too many things that you don't have, and whatever you need, there's too many things that you have. So it's just a matter of like a glass of wine, half full and half empty.
Francis, you mentioned earlier that you would like to try your hand at professional boxing. Is that something that you've seriously contemplated? And could you see yourself making the move full time, or maybe just for one off here and there, like a Conor McGregor type?
No, not like a Conor McGregor type. I'm expecting to like maybe do some few fight in a boxing, like real crossover as a boxing, because as a boxer, because that was my first dream even before I discovered what was MMA. I discovered what this MMA like 7 years ago, but I grew up for like over 20 years with a boxing dream in my heart. So it's kind of like very hard to throw away a dream like that. I think it's one of my achievements uh, to cross over for myself. Obviously, I will go for what is best from boxing, which is like the world title, but uh, just for my personal satisfaction, for my childhood dream, I want to accomplish a dream of becoming a boxer as Mike Tyson.
How much time do you spend now between boxing and grappling? Like what as a percentage? Is it 50-50 or what is it?
The breakout of time, you're gonna be like 50-50. But I have to point out something here, because the boxing that we do in MMA is not the same boxing that they're gonna do in the boxing match. You know,
Right.
we
Yes.
even our boxing is set up to fight somebody. We're gonna try to take you down, so you always keep your hand down. You never raise your hand up all the way up to your chin or your ear or something like that, because you at the meantime you're gonna strike, but you're gonna get ready for the takedown or to stop a kick or to kick yourself or to take down yourself. So it's not the same posture, it's not the same setup, because like the professional boxing takes a lot of technique and precision than MMA boxing. You know, like I remember when I started boxing, like I could, we could have like spent uh, 30 minutes or 1 hour just to work on how you move, how you raise your hand, how you uh, uh, block a body shot or something. A little thing, we will work on it for hours and hours. But in MMA, we don't do that kind of stuff. We have a lot of things to do, and we kind of like break it down like this, nothing very precise. So even though in MMA, boxing is included in MMA, we can, I'm, I know for fact that the MMA boxing is not enough to like compare to the professional boxing, which is a very specific work. And even when I'm gonna cross over, it's gonna take me like it's gonna take me a long time, many months, maybe 1 year to like go back to the basic and work on my boxing, because it's two different things. It might be like just find how to knock somebody out, to beat somebody, but it's a different setup.
That's great. I think it would be interesting to see you in the boxing ring because you pointed out something very interesting and very true, and that is that boxing is a very specific skill set that takes very specific training unrelated to MMA. Maybe Teddy can talk about that and the differences that he sees.
No, that's why I told you one of the impressive things about Francis is that he's intelligent and he understands what you need to understand and what you need to learn. For me, again, Francis, for you in a boxing, it would be a little bit of what you touched on. You learned a lesson when you fought for the title and you lost to Miocic a decision. You learned a lot of things in that fight. And really what beat you the most was the experience or the lack of experience, not knowing that you belonged there, that you could go the distance, that you could handle that level. It's very important for a fighter to know those things. And that comes with experience, to understand that. But in the next fight, the fight with Lewis, as you said, very honestly, you were waiting too much. That's what we say in boxing. You're waiting too much. You're not getting off. And it was because, again, your intelligence. You knew what you did wrong. You didn't know how to correct it yet, but you knew that what you didn't want to do. You didn't want to reach in. You didn't want to expose yourself. You didn't want to get sloppy. You didn't want to get out of position. So the only way you knew how to do that and control that from happening was to be patient, was to wait and to, and the only problem was you were too patient because you didn't couple the know-how with the experience of at least acknowledgement and understanding that you had to be patient. But really what you had to be was under control. Now you learn it's not so much about patience. You can still throw punches, but you have to throw them under control. You have to throw them at the right time. You have to throw them with the right balance. You have to throw them from the right distance. You have to throw them in the right position. And for me, that's what you need to concentrate on is, again, the George Foreman style, where your feet are set, you draw a line in the sand. Instead of the sand, it's in the canvas. You draw a line. You don't let the guys come past that line, and you're ready to punch. You use a jab. Your jab should be like a phone pole. It should be like a phone pole where it comes out straight and hard, and it disrupts guys. It hurts guys. It gets the respect of guys, just like George Foreman's did. It discombobulates people. Your jab should be like that, where you control range, you establish distance, and you set up your other punches. And it takes care of defense to a certain extent too. And where you're always set to punch, where you're not falling in, as we said earlier, where your upper body does not get ahead of your legs, where you're able to always be in a proper position. So guys don't get you out of position, where now they can get into you, they can get into your legs. And I would say that you want to be able to, with your striking, keep the guys outside so that they can't get into your legs. They can't get on the floor. If you get on the floor, you did your practice with your grappling, as you just told Ken. You did your practice with your jiu-jitsu. You did your practice with the wrestling so you could deal with it. But you should try to avoid going down there. And part of that is to control range where guys can't get into your legs. And if they do, they pay a price, a big price, a heavy price. Maybe a price with that uppercut. And one other thing, I saw a little video of you doing some of these Tyson punches. And not bad. Power, pretty good snap with your shoulder. You're throwing with bad intentions. The only thing I would say, you were throwing the uppercut. You were throwing the punch to the body and then the uppercut. The only thing I would say to you is two things. Get underneath it a little more. So it's not the arm, it's the shoulder. So you get underneath it a little more. Bang! It's all shoulder. Bump, bump, not arm, and your legs. Bend a little bit. I used to say to the fighters, Francis, I want you to use the floor. What do you mean, Teddy? I want you to use the floor. I want you to hit the guy with the floor. I know you can't pick up the floor and hit him, but you grab the floor with your legs. You bend your legs, and you become part of the floor. And the floor becomes part of your power. And from the floor, from your legs, you grab the power, and the punch gets driven up. Whoa! Bang! right from the floor with your legs underneath you. That's where you get the full power. Obviously, you get a snap in your shoulder, you get a pivot in your waist. You talked about it earlier. You get a rotation where you pivot in your waist, where the power can be shifted to where it needs to be shifted. This way you get the weight into the punch without losing position, but you grab the floor. You get underneath, you bend those legs a little bit, whoa, right from the floor. And you knock the guy out.
Wow.
You ready to go?
What a passion. What a passion.
I'm talking to a guy with passion. I'm talking to a guy who lives his life with passion. That's why you are where you are, because of passion, because of hope, because of belief. Your belief gives hope, and it gives hope to a lot of people. Just by doing this conversation, you're going to give hope and belief to a lot of people.
Thank you, Teddy. Thank you very much.
Hey, Francis, another video that we saw recently of you was Ryan Garcia, who was our last guest on this show. I saw him throwing some body punches on you with your Gymshark body armor on, and I'm curious to know, I see some people can't take those shots, but you almost seem to like brush him off, like, let me know when you're going to start. How was his power for a little guy?
Listen, we love Ryan Garcia. Where he's a good kid. He knows how to behave like a human being, not just a fighter. He's a young kid. He's only going to get better. I think he'll win a world title. He's a smart kid. He's been brought up right. He's a terrific kid. But come on, you must have been like, there's mosquitoes in here today. There's like,
yes, I'm almost.
Somebody left the window open.
Yes, I'm almost twice his weight. So, and he's very powerful for his weight class.
For a mosquito.
Yes, but I'm almost twice his weight. So yes, I used to like heavy shot.
Well, in that video, all I could think was, there's a lot of talent in that video between you and him. You guys are both at the top of your crafts.
Yeah, I think no, he's more. He's
got
talented,
more experience
more
in boxing.
Yes,
Yeah,
more skills,
he's more developed. You're still a work in progress.
Yeah, absolutely. He might be younger than me, but he has more experience and
he's got more experience. He started when he was a kid. He had a lot of amateur fights, which you didn't have the ability to have. But you have something that a lot of people don't have. You have the character of life, the journey of life that has blessed you, that has forged you, that has created you, and made you strong enough for the mission that's in front of you. You have that mental toughness. You have that resolve. You have that, as I talk to fighters sometimes, you have that lantern of character and knowledge of where you've been and where you want to go. And you can take that lantern and you could use it as a light when you go into these new places, these dark places. You can use it as a light. I know where I'm going. I know where I want to go. I know where I must go. That is a lot more than a lot of people have that have much more experience than you, but they don't have that. Use it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Francis, we've got some questions from the fans, if you don't mind. Before we wrap up, maybe I ask you some of the questions that the fans wrote in. And these were some of the most popular questions. The first one was from Adam Hartley. Says, how do you think you'd do in a boxing match against a heavyweight like Deontay Wilder?
As I said earlier, I really believe I can do great for a boxing match for a guy like Deontay Wilder, But don't get me wrong. But I think I will need more time to get prepared. You know, it's not a joke. Those guys, they are not a joke. And even though I'm very confident that I can do great. I pay respect for their job and for what they are doing, for what their experience, what they are professional for. So yes, I can do great with a good training. Maybe with Haley on my corner and Tyson for a few months or for 1 year, I'll be ready.
All right. Question from Sensei Sama said, "How did the Stipe loss affect you, and what improvements have you made since then?"
Well, how he affects me, that's very obvious. You can just look up to my next fight and see how that affect me. And improvement, I would say one thing, I would just put it on the following fight after the fight against Lewis. That was the improvement, like I have a better understanding uh, on the fighting business and more experience. Me entering the octagon that day, entering the walking through to the arena that day wasn't the same guy of me walking out of the arena that day. And yes, that's how he helped me to improve.
The last one got 1,000,000 upvotes. I didn't want to ask you this, but someone typed this question and about 300 people said, yes, please ask this question. What's the largest animal you think you could knock out? And like I say, not trying to be foolish, but so many people asked this question and liked it. Rob is telling me we have to ask this.
I don't want to overhype myself, but I cannot tell because I don't know the strength of those animals. I don't know how tough their chins are. So I mean, like just to make fun, I would say a lion, but I know that's not true.
Like a
I know
true
that's not true.
Cameroonian. Yes.
No, 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 that's not true. I don't know.
You know
Maybe.
what? You know what? You Muhammad Ali used to turn the fighters into he would name them after animals. So he named Sonny Liston the bear, and he knocked out the bear. So you would name one of these guys, one of these, whether it's a bear, whatever, and then you go and you knock out the person with the name of the animal, just like Muhammad Ali. I think that's the best way.
Yes.
Okay, that way, I think I could knock out any type of animal. It's in that way. Yes, but
Yes.
for the real way, it's kind of tough to say.
How about a bear without claws? We take the claws off because it's not fair. You don't have claws. So we take the claws off, we put gloves on them, and then with you boxing with the abilities that you're learning, I think you have a good shot to land one on the bear. The only thing that I don't know is the same thing you don't know. I just don't know how good a chin the bears have.
That's the problem. That's all the problem.
That's the biggest question, Francis, is how good a chin, you know?
Guys, another quick pause here to give a shout out to the guys at dynamicstriking.com. They've been a great partner for us. Teddy filmed a series of tutorials with them, boxing tutorials. He goes over, like I said earlier, a number of different techniques, including proper pad work, shadow boxing, heavy bag exercises, and tons more. Again, if you're interested in learning from the master, this is the best place to get that education, short of training with Teddy himself. And if you can get him to do that with you, good luck. But in the meantime, you can check out dynamicstriking.com. Again, use the promo code TEDDY20 for 20% off your purchase. Well, Francis, I know it's getting late. I know it's getting late in Cameroon, and we want to be sensitive to your time. And before I forget, I just want to remind people, if they like what Francis has had to say, and I'm sure they will, you can check out the Francis Ngannou Foundation.org, and we'll link to that on our show notes, and we'll put it in the YouTube and the podcast notes. But I want to make sure I mention that. And for Teddy's foundation, you can go to the Dr. Atlas Foundation.org. Both great causes that help a lot of great people. I just wanted to get that in. I didn't want to tell you we were signing off, but I want to be sensitive. I know it's late in Cameroon, and we appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And Teddy, do you have anything else for Francis?
No, just that the check that I pledged from our foundation, we'll send it out tomorrow. It'll be sent out. Rob will give me all the information, and we'll send it out to your foundation to help you with the cause of what you're doing, which is a great, great, great cause over there. I just want to say, just keep being the person that you are. That's your greatest strength. And I have no doubt that you will be a world champion, but a world champion that represents the best things in life, that represents to people that you can do anything if you're willing to pay the price. If you have the belief behind your hope, you can do anything. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter how many times you've been on the floor in life. It doesn't matter how unfair life has been to you, that you can make life fair just by having the character to face the things without making excuses, but instead having reasons to do what you want to do. And you're a great example. You're a humble, good person. You're as big and strong as hell. But like I said, that would not mean a damn thing to me if you didn't have the character and the strength that you possess as a person. It was very, very nice talking to you, and I wish you nothing but luck.
Thank you very much for everything, Terry. Thank you. And I want to take the opportunity to say thank you on the behalf of the foundation, on the behalf of those kids which is going to benefit from the donation of the $3,000. I want to say thank you for on their behalf. And we appreciate your support. Your support.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And I'll tell you one thing. If you ever did meet a bear, they better have a good chin.
Yeah.
They better have a good chin.
Well, Francis, I want to thank you for joining us from Cameroon. We really appreciate it. Much love. Good luck with everything. We'll be following your career closely, and we look forward to meeting you when you're in the U.S. the next time. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, thank you, Ken. And say hi to Rob. I think he's hearing me. He's hiding somewhere there. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Francis.
Thank you, guys.
Take care.
Have a wonderful
Take care,
day.
Francis.
You
Bye-bye.
too.